Hey there, Coach. Obviously, you've had first games before, at your alma mater at Utah State. Just sort of less than 24 hours. Just what does this feel like?
Yeah, they're always scary, but it's exciting to walk into Alaska Airlines Arena, with seeing our guys with Huskies on their chest. Like, that's exciting to me. It's something I've always dreamed of, and I know our players have dreamed of playing at the Big Ten level. And so it'll be fun. We know the challenge we have ahead of us. Like, Davis is a really good team, and everybody on the West Coast knows how good of a coach Jim Les is, and how good their players are. Obviously they have the preseason player of the year in the Big West. And then they got a local kid, Leo, who's from Seattle. Like, those kids, I guarantee at some point he wanted to be a Husky, and so we're going to get their best shot. But I expect a really good game tomorrow, and our guys are going to have to play a clean game of basketball.
Think just after 6 weeks of training camp, had the one exhibition, had the one tour, the private game. Anything that you wanted to do that you haven't quite put in yet, and just kind of where are you guys in terms of installation?
Yeah, I mean, we're probably like 75% of the stuff that we'll put in through the year. I've had to slow it down a little bit offensively. We've had some guys that have had trouble grasping a lot of plays, things like that. So we've had to slow it down compared to what I've done in previous years, and but they've done a good job executing the stuff we have in. And they've done a good job sharing the basketball. And now tomorrow night's it'll be different. Like, we're not going to be able to score off the first or second option. Like, we're going to have to keep moving the basketball and really finding the best shot for us, which I'm excited to see how we react to that.
And then just my last one. Just any idea what your last message will be for the team before you take the court?
Compete. I mean, we have a quote. Compete over playing hard. Everybody at this league, everybody at this Division I level plays hard. To an extent, you got to compete. Like, when there's a loose ball, there needs to be 5 white jerseys diving on the floor. If there's an opportunity to take a charge or make a game-changing toughness play, we got to be the team doing that.
Takeaways after looking at the film review of the exhibition game. What did you see that you liked? What do you see that you really need to work on?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably, us sharing the basketball was probably the best thing. I didn't think we took bad shots. And sometimes those games can get out of, you can get out of sorts and get out of character, and sometimes, you can make one pass and get a quick shot. And we didn't do that, which I was proud of our guys for doing that. But from a defensive standpoint, we still have a lot to clean up. Like, I thought their pace, they drove by us a couple times, which should be unacceptable. And our guys that got driven by know who they are, and we got to clean that up.
With Frank and his injuries the past couple of years, what's a reasonable minute count for fans to expect to see him early in the season?
I don't know. Whatever he earns. If he earns 35, he earns 35. If he earns 5. He's gonna have to earn those minutes.
Can he carry that workload?
Yeah, I think he can. Yeah, I mean, he's in great shape right now, mentally and physically. We still got to be smart with him, but a lot of times his minute count is going to determine on his foul count. He's got to be great at defending without fouling. I'm not worried about his injury, and I don't think he is either. Like, he's in great shape. Our medical staff's done a tremendous job rehabbing him, and I think he's at a place where he's really comfortable playing all out.
Louis Court ready to go?
Yes.
You brought in 8 transfers. Are they all capable of starting at some point? And what's the situation with Conway? Will he play this year?
Yeah, still not sure on Conway. He won't be here tomorrow. Probably the first couple games. We're still kind of evaluating his knees right now. But the rest of them, I mean, we could literally. There's like 10, 11 guys who could start any day. And so a lot of it's going to be, how they perform on the court, over the next couple weeks, and how they're performing in practice, and how they're adjusting to, the scouting report. Are they following the scouting report? Are they doing exactly, the game plan? Because a lot of it is thinking the basketball game too. Like, we need guys that can think the game, as well as be talented enough to play.
Now, I saw something humorous on social media today. I saw a Big Ten preseason poll, and they had you guys dead last.
Good.
When you see that,
we got to earn our way out of dead last. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just thought they hadn't seen your team in any way. So.
Yeah.
They had no idea.
Well,
who
hey,
you
on,
had.
on some days in practice, we have played like we should be picked dead last. But I think we're better than that. But we were picked, I think, dead last at Utah State last year too.
Last week after the exhibition, you mentioned the energy wasn't quite where you wanted it on the defensive end. Is there
Yeah.
something in practice this week that you've given you a little bit more optimism moving into Tuesday that'll change?
Yeah, I think some guys, sometimes you need to be exposed in front of fans, and then we show you the film. And, like, it's easier to coach guys once we can show them film playing against other players. We'd been practicing against each other. Our guys know when they're guarding great, they know what great's going to do. They know what Louis is going to do. They know which way Zoom wants to go or Tyree wants to go. And so they get used to that after practicing against each other for 4 or 5 months, where now you get thrown into, we didn't have much of a scouting report on Western Oregon. They had a lot of new guys too. Now, UC Davis, we're a lot more dialed into what they do and their players because, they have players who have played a lot of basketball, and their system and style. So now our guys, they got to go execute it on the court tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. But I think it'll be easier for them tomorrow night. From a standpoint of knowing who, now it's going to be harder to guard them, but they know what to expect.
I'm just curious. In each season you've been a head coach, your team's either dropped either the first or second game of the season. Is there anything that you think might be a reason behind that? Or
Really?
is that
I don't even know that.
Is that just
I know we
scheduling?
finished strong, which is all that matters, but I know, we did. We lost to Bradley last year in overtime. Yeah. But I'm sorry, what was the question? Oh, you got me messed up now.
Is there anything you think is to that, like a specific reason, just maybe film or just early season jitters? What do you think might be a reason behind that?
No, I know when I think about it now, like we played really good teams, and I don't think I've ever played a home game until tomorrow. Bradley was on the road. Bradley's a great team. I think we may have played Colorado one year on the road. We played Grand Canyon one year. Like we played pretty much guaranteed games. Like they were tough to win anyways. But I've always thought like we've always been playing pretty well early. We may not have won the games, but like I felt like our team was competing the right way and offensively and defensively, like we were doing some good things. But I've also thought like throughout the year, our teams have always gotten better.
Great told us that one thing he's noticed about you as he's gone along with you is that you become a player-led program. How do you feel you've kind of evolved in this teaching process of Washington compared to Utah State and Montana State?
Yeah, I mean, you have to coach it, and I know I have to fill everybody's water bucket. Like, I got to push it. I got to push the culture every day, and sometimes I push guys on purpose. Like I got after Great 2 days ago pretty hard because – and he knows it, but he should know it by now. Like, I'm pushing him for a reason. I might be pushing him to get on his teammates. I might be getting after Zoom, so that Frank sees and picks a freshman up, and eventually they start to see that. And then once I don't have to push Zoom, Frank just corrects it before I get to Zoom. Or I don't have to jump great for the energy of the purple team. That's when I know we're a good program and a good team, is when they start taking care of it themselves before I have to take care of it.
And then do you view non-conference to in-conference depth and rotation, and do you expand the bench more non-conference, and especially kind of early on in the season, do you expect to play more guys than usual?
And I think with so many new guys, I'm going to have to. And I think a lot of coaches do that. It's hard to just say, hey, here's our 7 guys, and we're going to roll out and play early in the year because some guys are better in games, and with this group being so new, like, we're going to have to play different lineups. We're going to have to play different guys, and I'm going to have to see who can play when the lights are on and the popcorn's popping. Because there are some guys that, they're just okay in practice, but when that light comes on, they're a different player. And that's one thing I've been excited about Zoom. Like when it's been game time, he has a different energy to him, which I like. And it's not that he's been bad in practice, but it's just like, him. I know when the lights turn on, I know Great's a different player. And those are the kind of guys that we need on the court.
I saw something on last week that I'm not used to seeing, and that was a 6'8" guy, 250 pounds, bringing the ball up the court. Mm-hmm. Is that something we can expect to see more of, or was that an anomaly?
No, that's what he did all last year too, and he was terrific at it. I think he was 3rd in the country in drawing fouls, because when he gets a rebound and pushes it up the floor, like, it's hard to guard when you got shooters and guards out here, and you have a post guy who's usually used to running and getting back to the paint in transition defense, and they got to stop the ball with a 6'8", 250-pound dude coming at you full speed, he creates a lot of fouls that way. But you probably saw, like, one of his first instincts is to pass too. Like, that's one of the things about Great that I always really loved is, like, he wants to be the de facto point guard. Like, he wants to throw the fancy pass and do all this stuff, but he takes pride in getting shots for his teammates.
Has the point guard spot sort of shaken out yet, or have you sort
No.
of crystallized that? at
Yeah,
all?
no, it probably will over the first, I'd say probably 7-8 games. I mean, we're gonna have to be kind of point guard by committee because they're all good enough to do it, and they're all so different, and that's what I like. And so, like, a lot of it's gonna be depending on who we're playing matchup wise. Like tomorrow, their point guard, Ty is a terrific player, preseason player of the year in the Big West. We're gonna need Tyree to try and we're gonna need him to be tremendous defensively without fouling. We're gonna have Zoom be strong and physical and make him guard us on the drive and try to draw fouls on Ty. And then Louis the same way as, he's played a lot more minutes than Zoom, but they both have similar bodies. They're both over 200 pounds, and they can really get the ball downhill and hopefully make him really have to guard us. So I like what all three of them can bring, but it's just going to kind of be any given night depending on who we're playing too. And they can all kind of play. I can play both of them kind of together too a lot of times.
When you talk about just the diversity that all your point guards bring to the table, it seems like you really pride yourself on getting guys that really play the game just in every which way. There's not, a shooter. They all do a little bit of everything. When you look at how you want them to run your offense, it feels like which one would you kind of say is the guy that you want to turn to in key situations at this point in time?
Honestly, I don't know. I can't give you an answer on that right now because I haven't seen him in game situations. After 7, 8, 9, 10 games, I'll have a better handle on that. I mean, the one thing as a point guard, you can't turn the ball over. Like, you can't be sloppy with the basketball. And I've been very fortunate in my 5 years as a head coach. I've had a first-team all-league point guard every year. And a lot of that, I think, has been our system is kind of built for that. It's built to have a great point guard. And I've had 3 different ones in 5 years that were all first-team all-league. Is it great recruiting? Yeah, it is. You have to get great point guards. But now we really have to develop, one of these 3, if not 2 of them, into being really, really good Big Ten point guards. It's not just scoring. It's organizing the offense. It's making sure Frank knows what spot he's in. It's making sure the wings are running hard. It's making sure we have tight huddles every dead ball offensively and defensively. It's getting back and stopping the ball in transition defense every single time, not 90% of the time. And that's what we need from our point guard spot.
And then one other thing, when you look at your big men, how do you feel that you've seen them grow in terms of the physicality that they're going to need, especially once you get into conference play?
Yeah, I really like our post guys. Our depth, it's been hurt a little bit with Chris Conway being out, but I think Frank, really in the last 5-6 weeks, he's feeling more confident in his body and kind of really getting back into game shape, and Great makes everybody better, because he can pass. And so he makes the game easier for Frank. Wilhelm, we need him shooting threes. If he's open shooting threes, we need him shooting and knocking those down because he's capable of doing that. Christian King, same thing. When he is playing some 4 spot, he can also play a little bit of 3, but when he's at the 4 spot, he's got to be able to stretch the floor too. But at the end of the day, in the non-conference, it could be a little different, probably not so much against Nevada, but, tomorrow night, there's times where they're going to play 4 guards. Or their post guys can all shoot threes. So Frank and Casey, kind of like when we scrimmage Boise, they're going to have to get out there and guard the 3-point line, which they haven't been accustomed to doing. But in order to play tomorrow night and be successful, they have to do that.
You just mentioned, but Christian King was a guy that 3-point shooting contest didn't catch me off guard necessarily, but his play against Western Oregon a little bit kind of surprised me. Did he surprise you at all? And how much did you know him when you got to Washington versus what has maybe surprised you about him?
Yeah, we recruited him to Montana State a little bit. I really like his size, and his shot making ability. Now and he's done a great job getting better every week. But now he's got to be able to defend and rebound. To play in the Big Ten, you got to defend and rebound. I don't care what position you're at, and that's something that he's really worked hard on because he is a threat, on the offensive side when he's catching and shooting threes.
Now, I'd be remiss because obviously it's slightly different here, but how much have you gotten to pick Jed Fisher's brain about building a culture at Washington? Because obviously I saw you guys during
Yeah.
the Montlick Madness thing. Just what have you picked his brain about?
Yeah, not so much even like how to build a culture. Like I might ask him some little things and but I just observe what he does. Like I watch how he is in the weight room. I watch how he is with his quarterbacks, out at practice, and just when he talks, he's so smart. He's been at the professional level for so long, and he's worked with some of the geniuses in our game, some of the best coaches ever. And so he's absorbed all that. And so I just ask questions and I just listen, But I like a lot of the, even the team building stuff, some of the stuff they did with the football team this summer. And we'll even incorporate some of that stuff on our road trips coming up. Now we play 31 games. It's a little different, but we have going over both semesters or quarters, I guess. I've never been to a quarter school until now, but, going over, I don't know, do we play into the third quarter of school? No? So just the first two? But it's such a long season, in basketball, and that's one thing that me and our staff are going to have to do a really good job of. But, first off, credit to Coach Fish and the football team, man, and their staff. What an awesome win on Saturday.
Any last questions for Coach? Thank you, Coach.
Awesome. Go Dogs. Appreciate you guys.